Hi! This is the second video in my new tutorial series, Card Making 101 for Beginners. And today, I'll be using the Stampin' Up! Courage and Faith stamp set. I'm going to show you how to get two colors on one stamped image as I demonstrate my clean and simple Courage and Faith card. I'm Shelley Godby, and for 22 years, I've been teaching you how to create hand-stamped smiles through my YouTube videos and my Stamping Smiles blog. And the method I'm going to use is pretty slick. Even had some of my experienced stampers going, "Whoa, I didn't know that." Here's a closer view of the Courage and Faith stamp set with 4 popular Bible verses. This is a Stampin' Up! Stamp set, and all the products I'll be demonstrating with today are also Stampin' Up! I'm a demonstrator for them because they are the best, and you may think it's a biased opinion, I don't, best card making products on the market. And so this is a cling stamp set. Their stamps come in 2 styles now, cling or photopolymer. The cling are the traditional red rubber stamps, but they're unmounted. And so the one we're going to use today is Trust in the Lord with All Your Heart. And you don't have to leave them in this. They come in here, but I like to leave them in so they're not just, it's taken me a while to do that, but then they're not moving all over the case. You know, I open it up and everything's nice. So I like to lay it down and tape the mount to it. And it clings right to it. And we'll just peel it off when we're done. I'll show you how to clean and take care of your stamps. But, and you use these same mounts over and over. So, and then we want a couple more of these. All right, that's what we'll be using. I'll set this aside. And I'm going to use, all right, this is a D, I believe, a clear mount block D. This is an H. And I could have just one of each, but I find it so much easier to have more than one because especially if I want to make more than one of a card, I can just keep going. I just pick up another mount. So as you go along, you'll find the ones that you use the most of and you'll pick up more than one. Okay, so we're going to set those aside. And today I'm going to use the Whisper White note cards and envelopes. And so they're already, you get 20 of them, and they're already cut to size, scored, and an envelope. Now this will make a finished 3.5 inch by 5 card. That is the smallest card size that you can mail. All right, so 3.5 by 5. I mean, if you did a smaller one, you'd need to put it in a larger envelope. And so I'm going to go ahead and let's fold this. That crease stops it from getting all crinkly. I line up the edges and then I take a bone folder and give that a good crisp fold. Look at that. All right. So now that is done, but we need to do some cutting. So I'm going to grab my paper trimmer. I'm going to show you how to trim cardstock. So here's our paper trimmer, and you can cut up to 12 by 12 cardstock with one or both blades at either end. That's really helpful because one's a cutting blade, one's a scoring blade, and if there wasn't room for both, you'd have to pick it up and take it out to get to the one you want. So that's a fantastic feature. So let me go ahead and turn this. This arm comes out, so you can do the 12 by 12 if you'd like. There we go. We put that back in. And we're not going to do any scoring. That other card was scored for us, but we're going to do some cutting. And what I have here is a full 8.5 by 11 sheet of basic white cardstock. I failed to mention that the note cards and envelopes we're using today are also basic white. Whenever you're stamping on white cardstock, you want the Stampin' Up! Basic white cardstock. It has a smooth, tight finish to give you a crisp, clean image. And that's what we're stamping. We want the best image we can get. And so the cardstock comes in 8.5 by 11. So I want to trim this down. I could stamp right on here, but I wanted to dress it up a little bit more. So I'm going to do some layering. And so I want to cut this to 3 by 4.5. So I'm along the longest. I'm going to start with the 4.5 inch. And so here's the 4, there's the 5, halfway in between is the half. we're going to take our cardstock and put it right on the line, not next to it. I don't want to see it. Right on it, and butt it up against this. This helps square it off. And we also have the line all the way down. So we're going to put that on there, butt it up, and I can look and go, okay, I've got it nice and square. Put this down and just cut right over that. So now you save all your scraps. We'll get a lot of use out of that other piece. All right, so we'll pick this back up, and now I want this to be 3 inches. Well, that's pretty easy, right? 3 inches. So we'll come to that 3-inch mark. I'm looking down there. Whoops, it's not right on there. Okay, wait a minute. Get it on there. Following it down. And, whoops, that's a scoring blade. No harm. And cut it. So this is the one that we'll be stamping on. And we're going to do some layering. And so there's another piece to cut. I have this, and I'm going to link you back to my first video where I did all of the cutting for the card so you can learn how to do even more cutting. The cardstock is cut. The stamps are mounted. We're ready to stamp. And so what I have underneath this piece of basic white cardstock we just cut is another layer, and this is soft seafoam cardstock. And so you don't need to try to jot down the measurements, because I'm going to have a link to my blog post with this card with the measurements and a PDF with a picture of the card and the measurements that you can download, print, and save if you'd like. And so you may think, well, the next step will be to attach these 2 layers together, right? To adhere them together. I don't attach till I'm done stamping for 2 reasons. One, I'll probably get ink on my soft seafoam cardstock. That's not a look I want. I want it nice and clean. But the biggest reason is if I mess up. If I mess up, I can turn it over and try again. And if I mess up and they're already attached, I can't do that, right? Because it'll tear probably. And a lot easier to get another piece if it's not attached. All right, so we're going to set that aside so I don't soil it. And we're going to start with the Pretty Peacock Classic Stampin' Pad. So we're going to pick this up, slide that in, and we're ready. So I've got the Trust in the Lord with all your heart. I'm going to come over here, and these pads are nice and juicy. They have these foam that's just so wonderful. You don't have to wail on them. In the old days, we did. And so I was inking that, and I'm going to come over here and go straight up and down. Resist the temptation to rock. Because if you do, see that ink there? Because that's what people do, right? And don't straight up and down, because even though I went straight up and down on there, these pads are so nice and juicy that I got ink there, and it would make a halo. You just see that on there. So that looks very nice. But I told you we're going to get 2 colors on one stamp, and this is the color, the stamp that we're going to do that. I thought, wouldn't that be really cool if the heart was red? So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to set this aside for a moment, and I'm going to grab my Stampin' Scrub. This is what you use to clean your stamps, one of the 2 steps. So I'm going to open this up, and on one side you clean, and for that I have some raindrops. This will be the wet side. Over here, the sun, the drying side. And we're not going to just use water. We're going to use Stampin' Mist. This will clean and condition your red rubber stamps. You're making an investment in them, and so you want to keep them at their optimal. And some people will use a baby wipe. I don't recommend baby wipes. They have either alcohol in them or butane, some kind of drying agent. We don't want to dry out our red rubber stamps. All right, so we're going to go ahead and spray some on the side with the raindrops. Come over here. We're going to scrub it lightly. And over here, we're going to dry it and get off any residual ink if we didn't do it over there. And what I mean by that is you've just hung out clean hand towels, right? And you go in and like, what in the world? Well, someone didn't do a good job washing. They finished getting off the dirt on your hand towels. Well, that's what happens over here. And so that's how we clean our red rubber stamps. So now let's try this again with a fresh piece of basic white cardstock. And we're going to come back. I wasn't done, so I didn't close it. we're going to go ahead and ink this up. I'm like, wait a minute, you just did that. I know. But we are done. So let's do a little push, pull on that lip, click, and then that last push, that click, then you know that it is shut. I'm going to use a blender pen to remove the ink from the heart. So I've got a nice bullet point. I'm not touching the other. And that's nice and juicy. So what I'm going to do, this piece that we had over here, I come, and whenever I use these, I clean them until I see it come clear. All right, that's not quite, but probably good enough to get off the rest of this. There we go. So we'll put that aside and put that end back on. And what I have here is a real red Stampin' Right marker. It has two ends, a brush end and a bullet point end. That is great for writing or small areas. We're going to use the brush end. I like to put the cap on the other end. And this is one of the Regals. You get a full set when you order those, all the 10 Regal colors. So we're just coloring that. All right, fantastic. And so we're going to close that. And when you go to stamp, this is going to be dry right now. I mean, not completely dry, but drier than you want, because the classic Stampin' pads and the Stampin' Right markers, they're dye-based inks. So they're water-based. They're dye inks that are water-based. And so they dry quickly, which is a good thing, because when I'm stamping, you can stamp and you touch it, it's not going to smear. But it was drying while I took the time to do that. So we need to revitalize the ink. And the way I'm going to do that is by huffing on it. And remember when you were a kid, you would huff on the glass, especially in the winter, and it add that moisture and you write your name in it, and your mom may or may not have been too pleased with that. So we're going to do that to revitalize this ink. I'm not having any breathing issues. I'm just revitalizing it. So now I don't want to dink around. I'm going to come over here and stamp, and we're going to go straight up and down. And how cool is that? All right. So this is what I'm telling you about, straight up and down, because if you rock, see that? They call that a halo. That's not a look that we want. Okay. So now we're ready to do some more stamping. And what I have here is the Soft Sea Foam Classic Stampin' Pad, Soft Sea Foam Cardstock, Soft Sea Foam Classic Stampin' Pad. Stampin' Up! Their cardstock, papers, inks, is what, the pads, the markers, embellishments, come in their exclusive colors that are in families. I was telling you the Real Red, you'd get all 10 of the markers are in the Regals. The Soft Sea Foam are in the Subtles. Beautiful line of colors, but with everything coordinating, it's just so pleasing to the eye. Nothing is clashing. So we're going to go ahead and pick this up again, slide that in. And I'm going to start with this stamp. So again, tap straight up and down. And I want to create a border. So I'm going off that edge a little bit. We're going to come right about like this. This is what I really like about the clear mount stamps. I can't see through the red rubber, but I can sure see around through that block. Oh, lovely. Then we've got this one. Come over here, getting my rotation the right way because I want to end up in the corner. There we go. And oh, isn't that nice? So like I did the greeting, and I'll need to do again, use that Stampin' Scrub and Mist and then put them back in their case. All right, so let's shut this. Another review, a little push, pull on that. Click, did you hear the click? Fantastic. And I thought, ooh, okay, so this is looking really good. Got lots of color, but I've got berries on there and I've got that bullet end. We can keep everything oh so coordinated. So I like to put the cap on the other end so I don't lose it. And we're just going to come over here and dot them in. Nice touch, huh? It's often the little things like this that you do that just finish a card. So there we go. So now we're ready to put it all together and add the true finishing touch. So now we're ready to adhere all of our layers. And I always put the adhesive on the piece I'm about to layer onto another. If I put it on here, I may go out too far and then I'll have a sticky mess. It'll stick in the envelope. We don't want that. So we'll turn that over. And I really like the Stampin' Seal. It holds very well for me. And so I put my finger where it's a little opaque, and 1 inch in each corner. Works really very well. And I'm going to layer this right on here. I did try other colors. I tried the Pretty Peacock cardstock. I tried the Real Red. And they seem to take away from my focal point, which of course is my trust in the Lord with all your heart. All right, that's looking good. And so we'll turn this over. And another 1 inch in each corner. Fantastic. You know, I can move it around. I wait until I'm pleased. I'm looking to see that I've got a nice even border around all 4 sides. And then, and see with that dye ink, I was able to press on there and not smear it. There are different kinds of inks that stay wet for a lot longer. You'd have to let them dry or encourage them along. And so I was like, oh, this is so lovely, but this will be awesome as we add the some brush brass butterflies. Try saying that 3 times fast. And I really like using my Take Your Pick tool to get these off. Some people are really good with the putty. I tend to do a lot better with the spatula. And so I press down because there's adhesive already in the back. Love that. Makes life so much easier. And so that makes sure the adhesive is sticking to my embellishment and not the acetate. And we're going to put one about right there. And how about a little guy, which I just let get flipped over, but that's okay. I'll still use this to pick it up. And we'll have him going the other direction. Oh, so cute. And how about one more? Because Grandma always said you do in odd numbers. And so we'll come down here, add one about right there. All right, so we have 3 on there. Isn't that so easy, but a lot of fun? Our clean and simple Courage and Faith card. And so we've cut our cardstock and cleaned our stamps. We stamped and embellished and even got 2 colors from 1 stamp. So much fun to make handmade greeting cards. And I always say they're a double blessing because the card makers, we love the craft. You know, a lot of people have told me that it's their stress reliever, it's their sanity, and they just love it. And then we turn around and give our handmade cards away and bless somebody with them. So a double blessing, this wonderful craft of card making. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make my clean and simple Courage and Faith card. And if you'd like to make it too, all the supplies are listed below the video and available to order now in my online store, www.shopwithshelley.com. And if you'd like to get more of my stamping tips, well, I invite you to subscribe to the Stampers Insider. It's your free stamping source for inspiration, information, and ideas. Just go now to www.thestampersinsider.com to subscribe. I'm Shelley Godby, teaching you how to create hand stamped smiles. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.